Wantoe Teah Wantoe is here as our guest this morning. In fact, when Luther Yofi was here, he was recommending that people that Wantoe Teah Wantoe, you can't get rid of them. Government need to incorporate these kinds of people. He referenced Wantoe, he referenced Glasgow, he referenced Martin Colley. Wantoe is here, fresh from London. Good morning, my man.
Great. I'm extremely grateful to, what's his name?
Luther Yofi, Councillor Yotti.
Councillor Yotti for his kind words.
Yeah.
Yofi, okay. And I wish him all the best in his political
the man
endeavor.
scout you. The man say when you become president, man, you can go far out, no matter how tough you are in your criticism. What's up?
I'm good. I mean, that's the mentality we need to be able to have in this country. We always talk about the idea of accepting different political ideology to form a concrete, solid idea. And any political party that clamp on ideas, it would be at a detriment of failure, because society thrives on the discourse of having multiple views. And even political theories are not constant. There are multiple ideologies that form a specific framework. And so I appreciate his view. I think that's something we all need to be able to take forward. But it's a very difficult.
You think in the Liberian context that is possible?
I don't think it's possible. I think one of the biggest failures that we may not have seen is the fact that since the electoral process, we haven't transitioned from being a polarized country politically and to a country where we can be able to disagree and agree and still find a common ground. And the truth is, Clarence, this country is extremely polarized. Whether you like it or not, whether you check through the social media, views and perspective. There are people who are just angry, angry, not waiting to be able to find a mid point between their anger. And some people have an inherent perspective of a specific people, where because of your political view, that inherent bias and prejudice become a stereotype that may, configure the perspective of people. And even me, sometimes I get disrespected because of my view, and I have no issue with that. I appreciate it. It's turned from too many factors. The first factor is we're in a very gullible society where there is absence of research gap that facilitate very concentrated, high profile driven conversation. And the other aspect is that people are just extremely politically cemented to ideas where they are not willing to accept new views, new perspective. It must be a constant feature. And in the views of that Clarence, there must have been something fundamentally wrong with people like me and a few others who will say, no, we have to challenge it. There are multiple views to this, and this is not it. And it comes back to the idea of even CDC as a political party. Regardless of your academic view or your professional accomplishment, once you're considered CDC in the perspective of some people, I use my words sprightly because I'm not all, we just view you're a doorman of a fifth grade system, despite being number one university in the world, where to get there you must be academically very competitive to get an admission. Our fifth grade system a lot from a few others, but we are not deterred. But we still agree that we must aspire for a society that appreciate multiple views and disagreement.
Okay, Wantoe, all that BB English talking, you didn't go Nimba for the season. The elders will not forgive you. Where did you spend the season? You didn't go home.
No, I actually came. December I'm always in Liberia, so I came on the 24th. Spent my birthday here. Yeah.
The 24th is your birthday?
Yeah, Christmas Eve actually.
Okay.
I have really great comments on social media.
You spend it quietly or?
Yeah, very quiet celebration.
Popularly.
No, quiet. I'm a very quiet man. I hardly go out.
That's why you say. But every time I do go Jala, the man say you are the opposite of quietude.
That man, no, I'm always indoor. I mean, I do go out. Yesterday, I went to a very amazing program at I think it was Snapshot party or something.
Okay,
it was very nice. It was outdoor event.
Thank you. As we go into the conversation, what the president Weah say at Foyer yesterday, I see a lot of things on Facebook about people say I didn't follow it, by the way. I've never listened to it, but I see a lot of people writing and say the Gibraltar story, it was a scam. The whole Gibraltar. What did he say? Something that he grew up somewhere else? What did he say?
And that's what I'm saying. So President Weah made a statement in his church yesterday. He said, as a young man growing up, he had a lot of things to his disposal. And so pundits, as usual, will go back to say, "Oh, I thought this man grew up in a poor environment and so forth."
Oh,
And
okay.
and I think that's what the disagreement is, because he aligned his personal story that at some point in his life he considered himself to be at a privileged state where he could even afford to build his own house. The historical analysis to that, whether people want to be able to check it or factual make it fact or something, I still don't see the justification. The truth is, this is an individual own personal narrative. uh for our discourse to go at that level where anything President we are saying must come under scrutiny, then is very interesting. But the other thing he highlighted was that he said the current government, there are some people in the government who are currently in position of privilege. At some point in time, he did support them in some ways and manner. Uh, Again, these are just personal views that should
Why
not
is he
even.
always personal with people? Why is he always bringing out people he helped before, helped the president before? Why is he
I
doing
don't.
that?
I don't think
People think he should be above that.
Clarence. I don't think he's always doing that. First of all, he has a right to his opinion. We can't be able to separate his opinion from a very constructive conversation. The truth is, people have a different way how they respond. I think President we are rarely respond to criticism. He only do so maybe only when you have the chance to be on a pulpit or whatever, or through his WhatsApp chat. If even the amount of no Liberian face more criticism than President Weah, and this is a matter of fact. From the moment he ran for this first in 2005 up to the time he became president of Liberia, the amount of criticism, the amount of social media, trolling that he received, some unsubstantiated, but this is him. He responds when he is, and then people question when he responds. And for me, I think there are times where people have a cap space and they will say some things, and I appreciate that moment in time that they have that clarity to express themselves. And I think that's the most important aspect of what happened. But I know for sure that no Liberian face more criticism, whether in their personal life or in their political life, than President Weah. And this is a matter of fact. And the fact he rarely responds to criticism means I must give him an opportunity to have his own opinion when he do.
Okay, Wantoe, we're in December now. The year is gradually coming to an end, as provided for by the Constitution. I think, yeah, it's the fourth working Monday in January. His Excellency the President will be giving his what? Third. This will be the third. He
Yep.
was elected 2023, 2024. Yeah, his third State of the Nation's address. In the midst of all that, you are one of several Liberians, or you are one Liberian who think that the government is not proceeding rightly. The government is not even, because many times I hear you talking about the government's own manifesto that is not implementing what it says it will have done for the people. Are these fair criticism of the government?
They are fair criticism. The first and major aspect that, because I come from the policy background, to speak directly to the government policy. Here is it that we have a government plan of $8.3 billion that's estimated to make the arrest agenda work. So the arrest agenda must work.
It's good
The
to say
government,
over a period of time, right?
yeah,
Okay.
within a period of the presidency, that's the structure of the arrest agenda.
Okay.
With this budget in place, we've already gone through pretty much we're in a third budget cycle. So in this one, government has a share of $2.5 billion, which is 80% share. Then beyond the government $2.5 billion share, the private sector has $2.7 billion, 35%. Then the NGO and ODA, which is the International Multilateral Institution, has $2.7 billion, which is 35% share. Not 2%, 1.9 billion, which is 25%. Then even the diaspora, interestingly, the diaspora remittances being highlighted here has about 10%, which is 0.7. So when we criticize government plan, we speak directly to what they are saying. The government has a projected plan for youth. Clarence, in this arrest agenda, the government highlighted that there is a politically weak institutional structure for young people, especially when it comes to unemployment. Then within this plan, government highlighted 74.8% of Liberians under 35%, but 77.19% of workers are vulnerable and informal. So The projected plan for this is a reduction of unemployment to 5.9%, from 5.9% to 5.0% by 2029. This is the government plan. Again, this is extremely unrealistic with the trend of unemployment in this country. In fact, unemployment skyrocketed to a point that government has no control over employment sector. Again, it come back to the government plan. The other thing that's been highlighted in the government plan is a reduction of 0.9 points over 5 years, which is a country estimated plan. This include a reduction in public service employment. As was, yesterday, there was a review of information that the government exceeded even the wage bill by projecting over 22 billion plus in a projected cap in the budget to be able to pay expenditure for extra wage.
It's a review plan by whom now?
This is a government plan, the arrest agenda. Everything I'm speaking about.
I thought you were talking about the wage bill. You said there's a review plan, meaning somebody said something?
No, the current budget has a budget cap that's also that's directly go to expenditure for wage. So the truth I'm saying here is that even the infrastructure target in the arrest agenda has 485 kilometer paved road, which is the primary road being highlighted towards 2020.
For pavement.
Yeah, pavement. This is far from being achieved. We are in second year of the agenda. The other thing is that it said there will be major logistic transport. There will also be housing and ICT expansion. I mean, ICT expansion, which is a digital landscape that should inspire innovation across Liberia, is far from being achieved. Last time the government tried to incorporate the IT sector, that was the 10,000 young people digital landscape program. In fact, we spoke more about it, and it hilarious. They said that the program was being conducted on a blackboard, and the young people who attended, not 10,000, who did a training in 7 days, 2 hours per day or something.
It's in 7 days?
Some say 7, some say 10, but the maximum is probably around 10, not more than 15 days for the entire training program. But they were certificated.
We need to fact check that.
That a fact check will come.
Yeah.
There's been information. The students who attended, some highlighted that they did a training for 7 days. Some highlighted that they did it for 10. Some say 15 days. The government can, the fact checker, we encourage them to fact check, but these are public knowledge. At the end of the training, the president awarded them, and they call them digital expert or something. The truth is, that program in itself is a masterpiece of failure, while we must aspire for the best kind of authentic programs that works with other developmental institutions. So ICT in the project landscape of the arrest agenda is far from being achievable. In fact, there's also 60% reduction in travel time that's being highlighted. Look at aviation today. There's a report conducted in line with the aviation authority where they highlighted that we are at a bottleneck point of about 70 to 76%. Maximum silent failure on our aviation authority. In fact, there's another report from the Liberian I think Liberian investigators said that it will take up 15 billion investment to be able to ensure that our airport is at a rate that fit the context of a genuine safe airport. But recently, the president was in the county making another pronouncement that he wants to have a county-based aviation setup expansion. Meanwhile, the current one that we have here, RIA, is far below the standard breach of international standard. That's a report for international report, not me. The other thing that's also very critical to highlight on this failure is that the infrastructure development pillar, which is the core pillar of the government, highlighted that we will need $2.5 billion to reach an infrastructure landscape. In fact, as we speak right now, the projected $2.5 billion that is being estimated is far from being achieved. We are 6 to 7 more years on the government. They still wouldn't achieve that $2.5 billion investment in infrastructure. So I could go on and tell you where we are with the arrest agenda. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, we must be fair with governance in this country. Yes, what you should know that is very interesting, Clarence. The government of 12 years under the same unity party projected a poverty reduction strategy. Mm. At the climax of the government of 12 years, the trend on poverty, according to the World Bank, was at an increasing rate. So this is very fascinating as possible. So in 12 years, government projected a poverty reduction strategy, and at the end of that trend, poverty increased at an increased trend. The last report by the World Bank, which is a landscape on poverty evaluation, showed that the government of the United Party had an increasing trend. And I did a whole write-up on that yesterday. Even rural hospital was projected to have extreme level of poverty. That's why we level it. So when we criticize the government plan, we are criticizing them to know that this country should not be border point on bringing unrealistic agenda and projecting people that you have a policy and plan that you implement. The accountability must be ensuring that the president look at his plan and see where he is failing. This in itself, the arrest agenda in 2 years going to 3 years, is demonstrating a masterpiece of policy failure. It's a blueprint in failure, and that's the truth about it. But on governance and transparency, which is also very important, what we're seeing with our budget allotment, we're seeing we're seeing complete moderate and credibility decline. One of the credibility decline we have currently is the foyer project, and I'm sure this is something we probably don't talk about a lot. And I know for sure you invested a lot into the foyer project, Clarence.
But before we go to the foyer project, I heard you talking about the rules the government said it would have constructed. Do we wait to see as to whether these things don't happen, or people that want to and others jump into conclusion that it is not possible? What's informing your data? What's informing your discussion that that's not possible?
What is informing my data is the policy brief. The policy brief highlighted specific elemental rules that should be built within the time frame that been highlighted, and it also estimated specific budgetary engagement that should be provided to achieve it. The truth in it is that when I'm not criticizing the government just because I want to criticize, I'm obviously being as honest and realistic, not using a political talking point. I'm using specifically the government own policy brief. So this policy brief is the government agenda. When a government develop a comprehensive plan, it becomes a manifesto for engagement. And that manifesto inform government policy, inform government spending, and it also inform government decision-making process. So when we say this is a masterpiece in failure, then that means the policy in itself is a blueprint that's failing massively. Yes, what the government estimate. We are speaking about government plan to develop this country on a blueprint of $8.3 billion. So in $8.3 billion, government is saying I'm providing $2.5 billion, 30%. Private sector is saying government is saying that we will get from the private sector $2.7 billion, 35%. Government is also saying we'll get $1.9 million from multilateral institution, NGO, and the diaspora remittance is 0.7. Even the diaspora remittance, what we're seeing here is one of the very interesting things. Government is saying we'll get about 0.7% remittance from the diaspora. We don't have a concrete plan for engagement in the diaspora. The only concrete plan we have for engagement in the diaspora.
President Boakai and his government have been engaging diaspora. I think they even have a diaspora coordinator.
Yeah, let me tell you the concrete plan. The concrete plan for the diaspora, when we talk about remittances from the diaspora, it's not only having a forum, getting Liberia, come to City Hall, Executive Mansion, maybe have a forum, award people. That's far from a concrete plan of engagement in the diaspora. Concrete plan on remittance provision must come with expansion opportunity. How many diaspora Liberians have been given the space to be able to come and empower and create business ventures in Liberia that have inflow of capital? Who in the diaspora are we attracting? Are we attracting some of the exceptional Liberians who are already leading expansive business ventures and capital across the world? This is what we call, engagement. We track the government process and procedure on what benefits are coming. Let's look, for instance, you got the Liberian billionaire, what's his name?
I know Drake Tapper. That guy.
No.
Is he real?
No, not Drake Tapper.
Is he really real?
No, not Drake Tapper. But they are exceptional Liberian billionaires.
One Richelieu,
like
right?
Richelieu Dennis I was talking about.
Richelieu,
so
I follow him.
Interestingly, Richelieu Dennis is investing in an exceptional capital in a diaspora. The government is projecting itself to have 0.7% in support, which is 10% of the government budget, to come directly into from the diaspora. People that reach you, Dennis, it should be people that the government should be attracting to understand their plans for expansion. Beyond reach to Dennis, diaspora don't have to be Liberians. It has to be concrete plan. Let's look at Ghana, what Ghana did. Ghana created a space where they provided opportunity for African Americans to have access to Ghana through their diaspora reunion plan. In Liberia,
I think they call it the year of return. Something
year
like
of
that.
return. in Liberia, interestingly, and people criticize President Weah for a lot of factors. And the reason why we sharpen the contradictions will come with facts. The diaspora bill that's been projected today that provide an opportunity for the diaspora Liberians to have to believe in their ethnicity and to see Liberia as a pathway for themselves was projected on President Weah. President Weah signed that bill into law. And the second thing is he created something called a bicentennial program that for the first time in Liberia we're welcoming Liberians to see this space, not only Liberians but African Americans as well, to see this space as the hub for the historical, abolitionist procedure.
Your critics say the government spent millions of dollars. What did we get back
The
from
government,
that program?
I don't know the budgetary allotment to it. Those that say the government spend millions of dollars can bring the budget and we'll have a conversation. But that's a fair criticism. If that's the criticism to have on the government, that's fair. Every government must account for spending. But what I'm saying here is the program and the intention and the policy. And the program intention and policy is far from the realistic aspect of where we want to see it, because we're speaking about 10% of the government plan on diaspora remittances. So the government must explain the construct of remittances on that threshold. Is it specifically getting Liberians to come in Liberia every time and meet? But the other thing, apart from the venture capital inflow from remittances, we need to think about, how do we expand the policy created by President Weah into ensuring that we can also attract a lot? But Liberia is a case study, an experimental case study, especially when it comes to diaspora engagement. Because this country was founded under the principle of abolitionary engagement. The first country in Africa, maybe we may argue and say Sierra Leone also is included, but the foundation of Liberia from the ACS, which is the American Colonization Society, and the current timeline, it's an exceptional, storyline to talk about diaspora engagement and then even African Americans and so many other aspects. And for me, I think we are failing massively on that, and I don't think we will be able to get a 10%. But I look at private sector. The government is saying that they are projecting $2.7 billion into the REST agenda for private sector. This current government, under this government, private sector empowerment and strategy is the worst we can think about.
You think so?
Oh, yes, it's true. How many Liberian business is thriving under this government? And that's a fair criticism. Those that are in the business capital tell us. Today, the vice president said that he's going to be presenting a comprehensive plan, and one of his solutions is that we should strengthen Liberian businesses, which is fair. That in itself sustains my argument that if we must achieve $2.7 billion private sector growth and mobilization, we can achieve it with the kind of plan that we have. We have no comprehensive plan for Liberian business sector. We have no comprehensive plan for private sector. In fact, the lack of investment into the private sector with strategy and plans is the very reason why we have unemployment skyrocketing in this country.
Wantoe Teah Wantoe comes from the Opposition Coalition for Democratic Change. What is it about the foyer project you want to talk about? Listen, the government has spoken about the project. The president, has made some clarity about the project, that it is not a personal project. It is a project by the government and some of its partners and friendly countries and those kinds of things. And I think when the president went to Lofa, he toured the project.
It's interesting, Clarence. I've spoken a lot about the project in so many ways and dimensions. In fact, I'm on record for highlighting all of the discrepancy in the project. The first thing you have to realize is that the project violated the very principle of the PFM Act that says that every new initiative must also go through the legislature. Members of the legislature are not even aware of that project in the first place. Beyond that project, I'll come back to all of the violation, but recently, Clarence, the president was in foyer, and he made a very interesting statement. There's always a very interesting contradiction with the explanatory aspect in this project. And what he said in foyer was that he is not aware of the project. The project was done without his approval. But there's the same president in foyer monitoring and evaluating the project done without his approval. It is a grounds in any political democracy, approval of a specific project in the name of the president without his approval or consensus is a threat to the presidency in terms of powers. Fundamentally, it doesn't make sense in the first place. So the main question is, who's taking accountability for that? And we're not asking too many critical questions. And that because we are blinded by partisan rhetoric, and that is the failure in Liberia. The truth is that if you criticize, the government of CDC and say that there's no accountability and there's no this and that, the president is speaking that he's evaluating a project in foyer. It started first with the presidential launch. It changed now to the MRU project. But we'll come out to the MRU conspiracy.
The government never said it was a presidential launch. It was people who were saying it.
I mean,
and of course, the government gave rise to that because it was tight-lipped for some time.
I mean, whether people say or not, the truth is, even the project is came through whistleblower. In this country, a project of that magnitude is coming through whistleblower in the first in the first stance. Speak more to open governance and accountability process, which in the very arrest agenda, the president projected that he's going to run an open governance of transparency and accountability. In fact, on his inauguration, he said accountability will be critical to ensuring that he moved Liberia forward. So, in beautiful speech as possible, Clarence. The truth is that this project came through a whistleblower. The first time I saw this project was through Eddie Jawolo, who is a civil society man. He's not government, he's not CDC, he's not political man. He provided a comprehensive outlook on that project. Today, Eddie Jawolo is validated because everything he described in that project is what we're seeing now. Also, if the president is not aware of the project, we have heavily guarded armed personnel guarding the project. EPS. Why we have EPS guarding the project that the president did not approve? Who's approving the EPS to guard a project of that magnitude? So the other thing that's also very fascinating, now the project metamorphosized itself into a transitional phrase called the MRU project. So on this new agenda of an MRU project, if you visit the MRU is structured on an interministerial decision-making process. Not a single body, it's a treaty institution. This treaty institution must make decisions not by a single member.
Of course, the institution hasn't denied that it knows absolutely nothing about the project yet.
It's not about institution denying nothing about the project. The last project that the government constructed on the MRU is on the MRU website, which is the construction of the phase project, the road phase project. That is on the MRU. That is also on the Ministry of Finance website as we speak right now. This project, which is a multi-million-dollar project, has no clue, no face, no pictorial evidence, or no documented evidence on the MRU website in any way possible. It's conspicuous, and it's very interesting to be able to monitor that in itself. So the government is saying that the MRU, and there are two interesting diversional theories to this perspective, Clarence. The first theory to the perspective is that the government is saying that the project being conducted is a government initiative for the MRU. So the government is initiating a project for the MRU when in this country, you have young people who are unemployed. You have young people who are struggling for basic necessities. So then, the government itself does not have a concrete plan that is driving them. So the government can create a plan and manufacture it in the space of a time when there are basic needs in its own agenda that's not being achieved. Then the other thing is, if you are creating a project for the MRU that you're manufacturing for yourself, why is the MRU not informed about that project?
Did the MRU say to you that it is not informed? Wantoe?
We must have evidence. We've done our research. Every project constituted by the MRU must go through, public accounting and knowledge. There's no public knowledge about the project. So unless we say we are running a very secretive project, which the government, is not buying itself for it, because when you come back to the secretive nature of the project, you realize that even the accountability is nowhere to be found in the project.
Now, Wantoe, because what do you say to Liberians? I think we should move away a little bit. What do you say to Liberians who say, under the Unity Party-led government, there are few basic social services that are available, unlike the past? People will count the prices of our staple. They will talk about electricity stability. They will talk about the price of gasoline and all those kinds of things. Don't you think if these things continue the way they are, it will be difficult for you to argue, to counter?
Prices and commodity. Yeah, the very interesting thing. The last time we did a hustle, and again, we'll speak on this in the policy brief. The last time we did a hustle income survey was on the CDC. We've not done any household income survey yet. So we don't have a specific policy that informs that narrative. And so these again are talking points, political talking points. But here's the interesting thing. If you as a journalist today, I saw you recently, you took your time and went in the market to get informed perspective from the Liberians. We saw that video and we saw the mixed reaction. Even Unity Partisans who are on President Boakai share said there must be something done. The Liberian people corner into the bread and butter issue. So the truth here is that if you take a narrative in the market, it disputes that entire perspective. But again, I want to be fair to the government. If the government is fair enough, they should conduct their own national household survey. The CDC did that. And that survey was critical to inform a lot of perspective, even criticism to the CDC. So I don't buy that in any way possible to say, oh yeah, people are doing better. As it is currently in this country, the political propaganda, it's overwhelmingly growing in a way that is building a factional perspective that you would think everything is exceptional in Liberia until you find yourself in a space that you will see Liberians having complained. And this is where our argument is. The government is building itself on a very entrenched propaganda perspective. And the propaganda perspective is it might buy them some time, but the truth is, truth and facts does not hide itself. In 2026, if the government is not faced on structurally engaging the kind of dissentment that we have, internal dissentment, there will be exceptional mutiny in this country.
You say internal dissentment to mean what?
Internal dissentment, because if you don't go on the street to take a video from OKFN to interview ordinary Liberians, you'll not have that mixed view. If you just believe in the government, set up propaganda, you think everything is amazing in Liberia. And that's the view that we don't agree with. We don't agree everything is amazing in Liberia. And the reason why today I'm here today speaking on the government plan is because I want to be able to speak directly onto the government plan. You can't dispute anything that I said because I'm speaking on the arrest agenda. That's your plan. That's your comprehensive plan that you highlighted.
Don't you think they still have some time?
We in this the third budget cycle we are in right now, we estimate almost $3 billion the government has spent in expenditure financially. So there's a government going into a cycle of about $3 billion. In the budget cycle we are currently looking at is $1.2 billion. So when we talk about timeline, then that's an unfortunate situation because this government is not new to Liberia. This is the Unity Party, the party that served 12 years and now returning to Liberia for another 6 years. So I'm puzzled to know what specifically should we build that narrative to say government need more time? And people who say the government need more time will say CDC damaged this country. The truth is we ask them critical questions. Give us the argument on the landscape of CDC damage the country. The only thing they will tell you is sanction. The only thing they will tell you is that it is. But under the CDC, there's a very interesting statistic, and I wrote that.
The sanction made impact negatively against your government.
Sanction all over the world is considered a political tool currently, even in our political dynamic. I'm not taking the magnitude of sanction, but those who are schooled in understanding
it comes as a result of certain things.
Yeah, but sanction does not determine impact, which is where we're coming. Yes, the very interesting thing. This government is spending almost $100 million in healthcare. Under the CDC, in the CDC tenure, the CDC constructed 3 major hospitals. In fact, the Emory Hospital today is constructed under the CDC. The last time President Boakai went to Bopolu City to construct an infrastructure project was a hand pump. The last time President Boakai went to Bopolu to construct a project was a 100-bed Emory Hospital. So the government has a standard that they can't dissuade themselves from. Whether you like it or not, there is a fundamental standard that will point to say this is it, and this is the reality. The reality, you can't change the reality. You can't disprove me to say, President, we did not build hospital in this country.
Let me get your perspective on something that's few Liberians or some Liberians are beginning to inaugurate, or a discussion they're beginning to nurse, if I would say it that way. A lot of people think both the Unity Party and the CDC has failed Liberia, and there is now time for a new sheriff in town. Who's that sheriff going to be? They don't know, but they believe that there should be an option given to another person, or an opportunity, if you like. They say both the CDC, the Unity Party have had their fair share of the leadership of the country. Nothing seems to be changing, for lack of better words. What do you think? Do you think we need to continue on this trajectory? Unity Party leave, a CDC come about, or do we need a new face? What's the perspective?
I mean, the trajectory on that perspective is a very interesting one. For us, we don't agree with it, we disagree with it. Our views on CDC is that we must imagine the CDC to become the hallmark for Liberians who disagree with this government, to see CDC as a space, or reimagine CDC, build constructive to fit the ideology of a new perspective in Liberia. The interesting thing of saying both Unity Party and CDC fail, in my mind, I'm very I choose my words wisely because the Unity Party spent 12 years in political power, on a matter.
So the Bulgaria on the foyer.
No, not us taking 12 years. The truth is, the comparative analysis is far fetched from the reality. The reality is that governance metrics by metrics, the CDC has tangible that we can be able to point to. That we're not talking about pictorial tangible, impact. We are speaking about specific impact we can point to. Were there lapses under the CDC? Of course, there were lapses under the CDC. But the truth here is that we believe that this CDC we can build on the legacy of the CDC to reimagine the CDC that fit the context of the Liberia we want. And then that's the view we have. We think that this CDC must be built and constructed in a way that is driven on policy. It must be driven on, a concrete plan. It must be driven on, pure intentional patriotic strategy. The Liberians who disagree with this government, many Liberians who currently disagree with this government must find CDC as a hub to engage with, must find CDC as a new page. And this is what we are inspired by. So the argument on both CDC and Unity Party fail, I appreciate that. But our main point here is that we are very much focused on redefining the CDC to fit the context that Liberians determine. And if there's anything that we're inspired to be able to do, this is where we are.
Redefining the CDC, including changing the political face.
The political
it's
face,
always going to be a Josh Weah.
The political face makes the CDC. In 2029, the candidate for CDC is President Josh Weah.
Okay. The man said they are redefining, but he disagrees with changing the political face. Wantoe Teah Wantoe is a ranking member
redefining can still have the same political face.
Wantoe Teah Wantoe is a ranking member of the former ruling, now opposition Coalition for Democratic Change. Amen. A few years ago, we were calling Unity Party former ruling. Now we call it the CDC former ruling. Now that's the beauty of our democracy. 0777 70099 and 50555 995 Let me take Assistant Information Minister Rufus Paul. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Clarence, and good morning, Wantoe. Merry Christmas.
Sure, Merry Christmas.
It's already Christmas past.
We'll still say it, my man.
We're still in the Christmas season.
Yeah.
I enjoy a lot about the CDC people. When you take matter to court, they will call the lawyers to kind of interpret because it's a legal matter. If you feed in headache, even though the symptom is headache, you go to the hospital, the doctors will interpret, they will tell you that this is headache. As you are in our studio, if you speak or you use some kind of phrase, and when you understand, we'll call you, say, Clarence, please interpret. The only people that can interpret people's words and our arrest agenda perfectly for ourselves is the sedition. So can I be saying I will be enjoying them?
What did he say about the arrest agenda that is not true?
No, I don't want to delve into that, but I can enjoy how they can be interpreting it for us in their own way.
But for example, Mr. Minister, you said in the agenda that you will build a certain kilometer of roads across the country over a given period. He said it's not possible considering maybe the number, considering the time.
We will craft our own agenda. We say it's possible. One man goes say in studio and say it's not possible. So he know what we put together more than we ourselves. You think that guessing thing we put together? Every time y'all go in studio, y'all pretend that y'all can interpret the arrest agenda as compared to we the doctors. We can be laughing at y'all.
So you want to interpret that portion he talked about?
I don't go there. Somebody who pretend to know something that I did more than myself. Clarence, you want me to go there with him?
No, when he pretend to know what you crafted, then you have to provide him public education and disagree.
Create a platform for those who think they want to interpret the arrest agenda more than us. Create a platform. That's it there.
Okay, thank you, Rufus. Yeah, I got you. I gotta protect the mayor. I gotta protect my color. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Clarence.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, we'll do one show. I will bring you and one of these.
No, I want to Rufus man himself.
Go ahead. Now you choose my guest.
Yeah, I listen to Wantoe Teah Wantoe spewing all sorts of lies on the video. The CDC is just looking for lies.
For example, what lie did he tell?
So some of the things he said, about the rest agenda that a lot of people are being taking to poverty than the CDC of life.
How do you counter that with fact?
So in the first place, if you look at the statistics right now, the average person now that can afford a bag of rice is far higher than the average person under the city.
What the average person? Let's do the number.
Thank you. So the number now, if you do not statistics, the number now, you say for example, the average person in the market can buy a bag of rice. Before, people were buying a cup of rice. Now people can afford in 2005, 2,600 to buy a bag of rice. But during the CDC time, it was 3,005.
I don't get that ideology. But anyway, it's okay. Yeah, hello. I wanted to say I don't get that analogy. That's what I want to say. Yeah, good morning. What's your name?
My name is Jacob Gosling, and I call from North Dakota. And good morning to Wantoe Teah Wantoe.
All right, Jacob, let's hear you.
The other day, I think I called on Julia's show, and I told Wantoe one thing. Wantoe, you are a fine gentleman. I will say this again to you. And you have a very good argument. You are a generational person. A lot of young people believe in you. But the truth is, most times you are in inherent contradiction in your argument. And the reason why now that you don't know it, but because you are allowing your ideology with political party ideology. For example, a fight. We posted the other day to speak of budget. When you posted the speak of budget, you did not really define the past government, which is your government that you support, the speak of budget. You were all speaking the other day. When you have an argument about balancing, you're asking what is the government and who grade the government. You want to and grade the government fee. When you went to ODS the other day, when Jacob Jala grade the government F, you came back again with another false analysis saying you grade the government F. You are a generational person. Stop aligning your ideology with politics, with political parties. Then as a man, most young people already believe in you, they believe in your ideology. You are very smart.
So you want him to stay away from politics?
No, he cannot stay away from politics, but here is the argument. Let him not allow his ideology for political party ideology like CDC or the Unity Party.
Okay, thank you. But how will he fit into, the politics of the country? Hello?
Thank you.
Second to the last, and then we'll just take a last call. Yep.
Thank you. Let me say thank you for the opportunity that you have provided me this morning. Let me say good morning to Teah Wantoe. Look, Merry Christmas anyway, and prosper New Year to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say this, Mr. Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be honest in this country. I always told you people this. We need to be serious. But we pretend like to say we know all, and not. United Party and CDC, we can't even compare it. You can't compare apple or oranges.
How?
That's why Liberian people always making mistakes, and some of you journalists too, you all make mistakes. CDC just got into power 6 years. Okay, we agree 6 years, but the 6 years was erupted. Nobody can discuss that.
But what?
The COVID came into the world, not only in Liberia. COVID knocked down the whole world. 2.5 years was taken out from the CDC-led government. It can't be discussed. We agree that 6 years. The tangible that CDC put into place, tell the government, if we want to be fair with one another, everything that they go back, a CDC, a CDC layout.
But say if you want to be too fair with yourself, then one will say let's wait until the other people 6 years are exhausted, then we can do comparison.
No, our point here is that they say CDC never did anything. CDC destroyed the country. If CDC destroyed the country, then why is this senator project that the government has carried on?
Okay. Say thank you. Goodbye. Hello, final caller. Hello there.
Yeah. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Marcus Sally Perkins. I'm calling from Oro, Singer.
Yeah.
Yes. Mr. Wantoe is my answer. I do not really agree with you all the time. Sometimes I bow for him because of the analysis. He's an educated guy and he's venturing into politics and things, and he's waiting for the future as CDC may emerge. Then he may want to be a minister. But here comes.
But what's wrong with that?
No, that is a right, a political right. But here comes here come what I agree with him of the Unity Party government doing the pronouncement of the president about the 10,000 youth training program. I was part of the program, but I felt very disappointed.
For how long? For how long were you people trained?
The program for me, I attended like six days. 6 days.
Only 6 days.
6 days.
And is that how long it would have been for?
There was no specific time. I was even expecting for the program to go for at least 3 months that we can get what we went for.
Okay, let me hold you there. Let's go, Weah. I'm doing this because let's get you found a bossman. Hello, do we have you? No, we can't. Yeah, Wantoe, let's come back to you.
Very interesting. You see, as usual as possible. Again, when we have this kind of conversation, the only thing that we'll see is rhetoric. That caller was I think assistant minister.
Yeah, assistant minister.
Assistant minister. You're asking a very interesting question. What specifically you disagree with for the man on the arrest agenda? Though, like we crafted our document, we crafted our document. The man, all you know it. But the interesting thing is the document wasn't even crafted by him. That's saying it. Yes, what is interesting? The government hired 2 consulting firms to be able to develop that plan. One of the plans is Suba Bede Associate and the African Development Management Agency. They facilitated that plan. It was a consulting institution. But in truth, we are not saying these things because as always, the guests who appeared this morning said that, there might be time where our political conversation must take different social narrative. I get it. I'm a partisan, very strong, strange, entrenched partisan because I'm a CDC partisan, but I'm a Liberian first. I do not speak specifically on partisan talking point. I try as much as possible to speak with facts and evidence. This morning on this show, I came specifically policy-oriented and prepared to be able to speak directly to the Unity Party plan. And this is why all of my analysis today came directly through the Unity Party arrest agenda. So if you say, you disagree with Wantoe, then tell me what you disagree with. The plan highlighted that you create 485 kilometer a primary road, which is an infrastructure target. You are nowhere near achieving it. Nowhere. You are almost in 3 years budget cycle. You 2 years with another $1.2 billion budget cycle. So again, I will end on this note. I appreciate you, Clarence, for giving us the space to speak about these things. We are very much open, as I'm here currently, if any Unity partisan want to be able to have a debate on their arrest agenda,
we'll find one.
We'll agree to come. They can defend their plans and agenda. We don't shy away from this conversation.
Okay, Wantoe, thank you.
So thank you, Clarence. We appreciate it.
Wantoe Teah Wantoe of the Coalition for Democratic Change of former President George Weah. We'd like to say thanks to all of you, man. Happy New Year. We got 2 more days to the end of the year. Wish all of us good health, prosperity, and may God grant us the fortitude and everything to see next year. My name is Piso. I'm out of here. Bye-bye.